So anyway, let's get into some good game. So we're going to talk about the third eye of game. That's the topic of today's show. So let's get into that. So the third eye of game basically means seeing things that other people can't see. A true to the game player has to really be thorough with his game to rise above everybody else. A true player has a third eye where he can see things from different angles. You know, people always listen to my show, and you have a few people who always say stuff like, well, you know what, I knew that already. That was some good game, but I kind of knew that. And the reality is you didn't know nothing. You didn't know a damn thing. You knew of what I was saying, but you didn't really know the game that I was spitting until I brought it to you from a different perspective. See, I try to teach you how to tap into your third eye of game. That makes you almost a genius. See, what makes a genius is that they can see formulas from different angles and come up with new equations to come out to a particular formula. That makes you a genius. That gives you the third eye. See, rich and powerful people understand the concept of the third eye. That's why the people who rule the world, so to speak, the symbol is the pyramid with the all-seeing eye. See, that's a symbol of knowledge. The all-seeing eye means we see everything. We're on top of our game. Our third eye is open. And that's where I want to get you players out there. I want to get your third eye open where you can peep everything that's going on. Especially with women. You can look at women and deal with women from different angles. See, a true to the game player, you never take anything at face value. You're always on top of everything. So when a woman steps to you with something, you know how to see it for what it really is and not be duped into believing what she wants you to believe. That's the thing that makes a player thorough. His third eye is wide open, peeping out everything. And a true player can see the best in women, and he can see the worst in women. And he knows how to play on both sides. Excuse me. A true player knows how to compliment a woman when needed. And he knows how to bring her down a peg because his third eye can see all her best attributes and his third eye can see all of her flaws. Like when a player meets a woman for the first time, you try to focus on all the positive things about the female. Her attitude, her vibe. You look for all the positive things and then you bring that out to make her feel good about herself, and it lets her know that you're peeping her out in a positive way. Now, if the woman gets out of line or if she gets a little bit too filled with herself, you can bring her down a notch and point out some of her negative attributes because your third eye is watching all that as well. You can make a comment like, hey, baby, you look very good, but what's up with that weave? You cool, but that stomach is getting a little flabby. You know how to bring out the best and the worst, and you know how to peep out the best and the worst in women when you have that third eye wide open. You know how to look at everything from different equations. When you have the third eye of game, it's almost like being a psychic. You can size women up, you can peep them out, you can feel their game out, you listen to their voice inflections, you know how to look at their body language, you know how to look at their posture and make an assessment and an equation about who they are and what their personality is like based on these little things. See, the average dude, they don't have the third eye. They're just looking at the superficial, ass, titties, and that's it. But a dude with that third eye open, you're looking at shoes. You're looking at the style of her clothes. You're looking at how crisp her hairdo is. You're looking at the people she's with. You're calculating everything. You're drawing from all of this. And all of this information is going to tell you how to deal with this woman accordingly. Tapping into that third eye of game. And like I said, man, having the third eye game, it almost makes you into a psychic. It makes you seem like a psychic because you know things almost before they're about to happen because you can size up the situation. Like on my show, I've talked about so many things that have come true. People are like, damn, man, it's almost psychic. Not to pat myself on the back. But if you listen to my old shows, like in 2006, I had a show talking about a document called Silent Weapons for Quiet Wars. It was about the economy and how these people plan on ruling the world using the economy and using currency and using money. And I talked about this on one of my shows back in 2006 when I first started doing the Mac Lessons radio show. And few people caught on to what I was saying because this document is a very deep document and it really, admittedly, is very hard to understand. And I might do a pay-per-view show about this document in the coming months, but I talked about it and damn near everything in the document has come true. As far as the economy and the way they were going to manipulate the economy, it came true in '08. And I knew all this was going to happen because I had the third eye open. Another thing that I talked about on the show before that came true, the whole Anna Nicole thing. With the Anna Nicole Smith situation. Now recently, you know, Anna Nicole Smith was the former model and she was found dead in a hotel room from a drug overdose. Now recently, her her husband / lawyer, they indicted him, I think. And if you listen to the show I think I did that show in 2006 or 2007. Whenever Anna Nicole died, I did a show directly afterwards saying that this guy had something to do with it. If you go back and listen to the Anna Nicole Smith show, I said her husband had something to do with it. I said, that's the main dude. 2 years later, they get at him. Third eye a game. I looked at the equation and came up with the formula that made sense. Another show I did, 2007 All-Star Weekend. Right before All-Star Weekend, I warned people about what's going to happen in Vegas. Not only did I warn people, you go back and listen to the show, I told them what parties to avoid because I knew that there was going to be trouble at certain parties. I said, there's a party that Nelly's having. You guys might want to avoid that. And sure enough, the party got shot up. It was like a total ruckus at Nelly's party up in Las Vegas at the All-Star Weekend. That's that third eye, not psychic. I just opened my eyes and I kind of put two and two together. I knew what was going to happen. You get a lot of dudes from down south coming on West Coast turf. In Vegas, see, you get LA cats and you get the Bay Area cats. And all of them clashing with them down south dudes. I knew it was going to be crazy. But that's that third eye. Looking at every situation and sizing it up and making predictions based on the evidence. So you have to open up your third eye again. And I'm going to give you some tips on how to open your third eye of game. How to develop your third eye of game. I'm going to give you 3 very good tips. Now, tip number 1, if you want to develop a third eye of game, number 1, you have to rise above pettiness. You have to rise above common things. The thing is, a lot of people, you don't get that third eye of game because you're so focused and you're so involved on petty nonsense that has nothing to do with anything. Petty arguments, petty debates, petty activities. When you deal with women, you get drawn into a lot of women's petty arguments. A woman can argue and bitch and bicker about just nonsense, nonstop. So as a thorough dude, you have to rise above that. You have to shut it down, rise above it. You're too big for petty things. So when you shut down the pettiness, you'll get a certain level of respect. Plus your third eye will develop because you can see things, because your mind won't be cluttered with the pettiness. Because it's very important, man, to keep your mind clear. Women, you ever see your dudes just trying to get away? Your man trying to get some alone time? My married women out there, my ladies out there who are in long-term relationships, or you're living with your dude, you notice that your dude kind of has a room that he likes to go in by himself and just chill. He wants to get his mind clear. He's trying his damnedest to develop a third eye. You keep nagging the third eye closed. So fellas, you got to get away. You got to get some quiet time. You got to get in a position where you can let your mind develop that third eye, because you always have your woman in your ear with petty nonsense. So you just kind of go along with the program. You're on the inside looking out instead of the outside looking in. You got to step out of it for a minute. Step away from the pettiness. Clear your mind so you can see the situation for what it is later on down the line. So that's rule number one. Step number one, avoid pettiness. Rise above pettiness. Now, tip number two in developing the third eye of game, question everything. Always ask why. And I think I've talked about this on shows before. Whenever a situation pops up, question it. When a woman steps to you a certain way, question it. Always ask why. Why is she saying this to me? Why is this woman stepping to me like this? Never think with your ego. And don't doubt yourself. I'm not saying that you should have self-doubt if a woman steps to you a certain way that's a positive. But always question it, though. Always have in the back of your mind, okay, what does this woman have an angle? And this just doesn't apply to women. When you deal with anybody, find out why they're trying to deal with you. What's in it for them? Question it. Like when I get calls from executives and producers and managers, when they call up and they want to meet up, and I always see, okay, what's in it for them? What do they really want to get out of it? I look at all sides of the equation, and you can better deal with a person knowing why they're trying to deal with you. Now, the third way to develop your third eye of game is to read a lot of books on many different subjects. And that's the thing. A lot of people are not big on reading. I'm glad everybody buys my books. But a lot of people like to just stick to certain topics or one topic and just be up on that. It's good to just read a vast array of different things to expand your mind. And I've talked about reading before. Reading and learning about different things. That will really open up your third eye game. Knowing about different cultures. Knowing about different segments of life. Because you never know when that information can become applicable. That will help you see people and things in a different perspective. Like when I go to different places, and I'm going back to Hawaii, I think next week. I just left Hawaii, but I'm going back. I'm going to stay a little longer because I'm going to write another book out there. But when I go to places, you know, guys, I travel a lot. Before I go, I like to just read books and read the history of a place. So when I get there, I know why certain things are popping off. I know why certain people are dressing certain ways in certain countries. I know why there's certain languages in certain countries. When I go places, I know why people eat certain foods because I know the history of the country. Like when I went to Aruba, they had like windmills and they had like Dutch artifacts. And it's a Dutch territory. And that explained a lot. The colors. You can understand why certain places have certain colors and people act and talk a certain way because you know the history of them. And you can see things clearer. You can see things better. You know how to deal with people better. And this can apply to relationships. Let me give you an example. One time, me and my friends, we were at the club. And there was a very exotic looking young lady sitting at our table with her friend. We invited him to come sit down, and everybody was trying to put their bid in with the female. So somebody looked at the real exotic one. She looked kind of Asian, but nobody really knew what she was. So they said, they were asking her, so what are you? She was like, okay, y'all take a guess. So we asked her what's her name. Her name was like Talia Gonzalez or something. So one cat said, okay, you're Mexican. She's like, no. Another guy said, well, you're Puerto Rican. No. Another guy said, well, you're Brazilian. No. One guy said, you're Colombian. No. So I stepped up to the plate and I said, well, obviously you're Filipino. She was like, you're absolutely right. Nobody has ever guessed that before. And the fact that I had the third eye of game made me look a little fly, and she was more receptive to me. And the reason I knew that she was Filipino is because of her name. I knew that a lot of Filipino people have Spanish last names because the Philippines was conquered by Spain. Even the name Philippines is after King Philip of Spain. I knew that. Not that I'm some super duper genius. I just read books on shit like that. So you never know when that type of non sequitur type of game becomes applicable. So always try to tap into that third eye of game. Always upgrade your knowledge, upgrade your macking skills, upgrade your mouthpiece, because you never know when you have to apply that game. You want to see things from a different perspective. You want to be on top of everything. You want to see things other people can't see. You want to see things from different angles. That gives you the third eye. That makes you a thorough player.